Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I am Dr. Yaolin Tang, and thanks for taking your time to, taking the time from your Labor Day long weekend to join today's webinar. And first, I'd like to thank HealthBio and also DT Dental Tribune Study Club for making this happen. Today, we will be talking about how to achieve true 1 hour single visit with lithium disilicate restorations. So a little bit about me. I graduated from 1991 from Taipei Medical University and grew up in Taiwan, Formosa, aka Beautiful Island. And I graduated from the UOP in 1994. I'm one of the SarahDoctors.com, cdocs.com visiting faculty, and I'm the KOL of the Vita North America, HealthBio, GC America, and I currently practice in San Mateo, California, in Bay Area. So the Golden Gate Bridge is one of the most iconic sites of San Francisco, but we also have Bay Bridge that is connecting from the Oakland to San Francisco. So this is my school, Taipei Medical University. And again, I graduated from 1991. And here's my classmate. We have about 80-something people classmate back then. And here's a Taipei 101 in the background. And in 2014, me and my buddy, my classmate, Dr. David Tai in Taiwan, and also the technician, Eddie Corrales, we actually traveled back to Taiwan and we did a one-day lecture and light demo in my school. And family of four, my younger daughter, Elizabeth, just graduated from Boston University this year, and she is preparing for her lawyer school test right now as we speak. And my older daughter, Tiffany, she actually just started her dental school. Same dental school as me, UOP in San Francisco, about a month and a half to 2 months from now. And finally, me and Tiffany, we get to speak the same language, which is a dental language. Finally, I do have someone that can speak the same language as me right now. Okay, I started Sarah since 2005. And back then, we have only very limited block option available. We have 3M paradigms. We have Vita Mark II. We have Ivoclar Pro Cat. We have Ivoclar Empress Cat. None of those are like with a super strength. And so far, still only have two in the market, which is the Vita Mark II and Ivoclar Empress Cat that are available still right now in the market. So the option we have in today, 2022, we have so many different block options available. So we have the first group is aesthetic ceramic block. Example, like a long time available, which is Vita Mark II, Vita Trilux, Empress, Empress Multi. The strength is about 100 to 200 megapascal. And the second group is a lithium-based block. The most famous of this group is the Emax. And then we have the Denspress Sorona Celtra Duo. We have HealthBio Amber Mill. We have GCDC block. The strength for this group is about 300 to 400 megapascal. And then the third group, which is a resin-based block, it's a composite and ceramic mix, is a hybrid. And we have the 3M Lava Ultimate. We have the GC Cera Smart. We have Ivoclar Tetricat. We have Vocal Grandio. And the strength for this group is about 100 to 300 megapascal. And then lastly, we have the zirconia block, which is the most, probably one of most favorable group about the Cera user or most of the general dentists. As we have the Incoris, we have the 3M zirconia, we have Sorona Cera MTL. The strength for this group is about 600 to 1,000 megapascal. And today we're going to concentrate on this group, the lithium-based block. That's a group that we're going to talk about today. So the brother phenomena, or so-called zircomania. So in 2010 November, this is based on the Glidewell numbers. So in 2010, the browser has been available for only 2 years, barely 2 years. And this is the first time that the browser has surpassed the 50 years old PFM. In 2010, the prescribed browser has over the PFM. And since 2010, there's a 9 million of browsers being prescribed. This is really a zircon mania. So I have a patient that has a cracked premolar, upper premolars. So what will be your treatment options? A full coverage crown, an onlay, a direct composite, or do nothing? So obviously, I choose to do with an onlay. If I think the direct composite is a good option, either the acceptable option also, but I just don't have that skill to make a good looking direct composite, not like those amazing technicians out there or dentists out there. So I choose to do an onlay on a patient. So the function of the teeth combine of biology, the mechanics, the function, and also the aesthetic. So is it better to pursue the development of strong and stiff restorations, or instead to find treatment modality that reproduce the biomechanical behavior of the intake tooth? Stronger and stiffer might not always better. As I said that I started my CERA since 2005, which is 17 years ago. So this is one of my early CERA restorations. And again, back then, we only have very limited option product available. So Vita Mark II is one of the product that was available back then and still available now. So this is only that I did about in 2006. I started in 2005. So, and patient came back in 2018. That was 4 years ago. So this is a 12 years recall. And another one I did in 2006, the photo was taken in 2020. This is 14 years also recall. So the Vita Mark II are still there. And another one on the lateral incisors. This was done in 2011, which is 11 years ago. And this was done with Empress Multi. And the photo was taken barely 1 to 2 months ago in 2022. And as you can see, the Empress Multi is still there functioning very nicely. So do we need all those super strong material to restore patients' teeth? So the longevity of the CERA restoration based on, this study is many, many years old, 2010. So this was only based on those available product back then. And you can see that how's the longevity of those products. Vita Mark II only 5 years success is 96%. Paradigm's Crown 5 year has 97 success rate. And the Vita Mark II and Paradigm's 6 year success rate 97.5, 10 year success rate 92.5. And if you look at Lithium Disilicate, the EMAX, the 4 year success rate is at 99%. That is extremely, extremely high. So this is one of my patients a few years ago. So patient broke her both front teeth. And I did an implant on her. And while I'm waiting for the implant to heal, I put a Vita Inami IS as a temporary. And during the healing period, patient fell again and hit her front teeth and create the fracture on the abutment. If the patient hit her front teeth after I restore the implant with permanent material like zirconia, so would that trauma or accident will have more catastrophic failure instead of just redo abutment and the crown? That's something that we need to think about. So when a fracture happens, do you prefer to have a fracture to happen on crown, abutment, or screw, or implant fixture, or even the bone. Tooth cycle of death. So it's starting from a small initial cavity here, and then you will do a restoration, the amalgam, a composite, and then then you're going to have a cast fracture, and then you will end up having a root canal done, and then you put a parapose, you put a pose, fiber pose, or whatever pose you name it, and then you put a crown, and then the patient will end up having tooth fracture, and then you will go to extractions and an implant. So what we try to do is to stop the cycle, the circle, somewhere before the extraction happens. So if we can either slow down or stop the tooth cycle, then that's our main goal of our treatment purpose. So what is a biomimetic dentistry? We all heard about biomimetic dentistry. So what is biomimetic dentistry? Bio means lifelike. Mimetic is copy. So we are doing a lifelike and copy whatever we have. So respecting Mother Nature creations and respecting and emulating the nature with the material that we have. Also to restore by removing the diseased tissue without removing unnecessary intact tooth structure. That's a definition of biomimetic dentistry. Dental Trinity. So dental trinity, of course, including the enamel, the dentine, and the DEJ. And when we're doing a treatment, we are doing resin bonding trinity, which is including the ceramic, the composite resin, and the enamel, dentine bonding. So the ceramic gonna be replace the enamel. The composite resin will replacing the dentine, and our cementation will replacing the DEJ. That is the resin bonding trinity. So I often see all these amazing skills dentists out there, they posting their case with free hand or sometimes with a jig to restoring the anterior tooth with composite. Those skills are amazing. The results looks amazing. I just can't do that because I don't have that kind of skill. And also that I often think about how's the long-term prognosis, how long will that last with just a direct composite. When the tooth do not have an enamel, just has a dentine on it, the tooth is a lot more flexible than the tooth structure has an enamel shell on the dentine. So composite, again, just like a dentine, so composite is a lot more flexible. So would that be better to put something that can replace the enamel on the teeth, on the tooth, when we do the restorations? So this is more only when more is too much. So in 2005, Ivoclar come out with an Emax, which is a revolutionary product. And why lithium disilicate? It's highly aesthetic and with a very great strength. So why lithium disilicate? Remember the dental trinity. Our restoration would have to replace the enamel and the dentine. The lithium disilicate has all this physical property. They are so similar to enamel. They have very similar hardness, very similar elastic modulus, very similar fracture toughness, and slightly stronger biaxial flexural strength, similar. So lithium disilicate is the best material to replace the enamel. And why lithium disilicate? Because we all know that it's easy and you can get a very strong bonding strength with a lithium disilicate with your composite resin cement. So what is the Emax advantage? The Emax advantage has very great strength. It's from 300 to 500 megapascal. Very easy to bond to our composite resin and aesthetic. And when the Emax first came out in 2005, the oven cycle was around 30 minutes. A few years later, they come out with a new faster cycle, which is only 14 minutes. Emax has a very good long-term success. But what's the disadvantage of the Emax? We all know Emax has a very cheap margin, cheapy margins. And Emax require oven. And when you require oven, you require more time. And Emax also sometimes require multiple fire because it's harder to do a standing glaze on the purple stage. So you need to crystallize first, then to do standing glaze after. And Emax also shrink during the crystallizations. Therefore, you need to put support when you put Emax into the oven for the crystallization process. So Emax also may crack, not all the time, but sometimes it crack after the crystallizations. So Emax take time. For me, at least need about 1.5 to 2 hours for a single crumb. So the picture is from the internet. So as you can see, sometimes Emax will come out with, after the crystallization cycle, either with melt or a crack. So what's the limit of the lithium disilicate? So lithium disilicate, they make the glass ceramic stronger and stiffer. And therefore, when it's stronger and stiffer, it becomes harder to mill. And has come out with a new block about 4 to 5 years ago called Ember Mill. So the Ember Mill has their own nano lithium disilicate technology. So the Ember Mill has a finer particle compared to the Emax, as you can see here. And also Ember Mill, one of the unique feature is there's a freedom of translucency. You just need one block, and then you can have different translucency from HT, MT, LT to MT based on you putting through the different oven cycle, different oven temperatures. And Ember Mill also have self-crack heating abilities. And during the oven cycle, during the crystallization process. As you can see, this is the Emax. After Emax, after the oven, it has the same crack. But the Ember Mill, even though there's a minor crack during the milling process, but after oven, it actually heals the crack. And because the nano lithium disilicate technology, the Ember Mill can mill a lot smoother, so the margin is a lot better and fit better. And the Ember Mill also fluoresces like a natural tube. So this is showing how the Ember Mill fluorescence like a natural tube. So when your patient go to a nightclub, your patient won't look like this, like vampire. And Ember Mill come with all different shapes available. But you don't have to stock HT, MT, LT, MO, all different. You just need one block that can have all 4 different translucencies. So what's the indication of Ember Mill? Of course, you can do Ember Mill for onlay. Here's a case showing onlay, and you can do Ember Mill for veneers. It's very, very good for veneer, again, because of the good milling capabilities. You can mill very, very thin, and the margin fit so well. And this is a case, one of the first case I did for the smile makeover with the Ember Mill. So that's a pre-op, that's a prep, that's a reduction jig, that's a proposal, that's an Ember Mill 4 units, and that's after. Before and after, and your happy patients. Another case I did during the pandemic. So patient broke her 3 front teeth. So this is a 3-unit case. And root canal was treated. And here is the reduction jig. That's a prep. This is a temp. The same day, I give patient temp. And then this is after. So that was done last year in 2021. And patient came back this year, July 28, exactly a little bit over a year. So that's a 1 year recall photo. And amber mill can be on the implant abutment too. And this is the Emax abutment, so it's perfect. Lithium disilicate on lithium disilicate. And another case showing amber mill on the titanium custom abutment. This is Atlantis gold shaded abutment. Here's after. And the implant fixture was Astra profile implant. We're going to talk about the brand new product that Bio just introduced this year. It's called Amber Mill Direct. It is a pre-crystallized lithium disilicate block for chairside restorations. So it is quick and easy. And it is durable because this one is pre-crystallized. So there's no oven needed. So this is a block that can achieve true single-hour visit. I'm talking about a true single-hour visit, which is starting from you sit the patient on your chair to you finish the restoration and patient leave your chair in 1 hour. So like I say, Amber Mill Direct has the functional gradient. So as you can see that the particle on the incisor is a lot more finer than the cervical. So therefore, you can see a better translucency without even doing stain and glaze. And on the cervical, is a lot less translucency, just like our Nature 2, because the gradient. So on the incisor, you can reduce the incisor wear of the antagonist T, because the incisor part has about 300 megapascal. And to the incisor, the cervical, there's a 400 megapascal strength. So the average for this block is about 355 megapascal. Amber Mill Direct is a sister block of Amber Mill. So same thing, you get the great stability of the margin, and you get a great fit of the margin. You know what the oven did to the Emax during the crystallizations? Because the crystallizations of the Emax, the margin, the crown actually shrink. Therefore, that's why you need to have a support inside the Emax when you go into the oven, when you do the crystallizations. And because of shrinkage, this is what will happen to your margin. And Amber Mill do not require the oven because it's already pre-crystallized. The margin you see is the margin you're going to get after your cementations. And Amber Mill Direct has a wear resistance. Even after 1 million cycle of the simulations, chewing simulations, Amber Mill still maintain a lot better fracture strength compared to the Emax. And some of you may concern about, because Amber Mill Direct is a pre-crystallized block, would that be too strong or too much for my mini machine to mill it? So as you can see here, is even though it's a little bit stronger than the Emax purple stage, but thanks to the new technology that there's low cutting force value and it's easy milling. So compared to the dense price on block Tessera, actually Amber Mill is 30 to 35% less for the cutting force compared to the Tessera. So now we're talking about the 2 1-hour chairside appointment. And how we do that? Because Amber Mill is a lot faster to do it without needing the oven. So the average milling time for Amber Mill is about 12 minutes. And it takes me probably less than 5 minutes to polish it. So the real Meaning time and post-processing time is about 7 minutes. And if you choose to do stain and glaze for Amber Mill Direct, it's still saving more time compared to the Emax, because you have 12 minutes meaning time, 5 minutes to prepare, to polish, rough polish, and put stain and glaze on. And the oven cycle for stain and glaze, depending on the system I use, but I would say generally speaking, it takes about 10 minutes to do the oven cycle. And you need about 3 minutes cooling time. Sometimes I don't even wait for 3 minutes. I wait about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. So you're looking at about total 30 minutes for Amber Mill Direct. And again, remember, you just need one single file because you don't need to get crystallizations before you put the stain and glaze on. So that's 30 minutes most top if you put into oven. You want to do a stain and glaze. And for the Emax, for the conventional Emax, if you have speed file oven, or you have the program SCS, the phase cycle is about 14 minutes. And I know that Vita has one, I forgot the name, the new one, you can do 10 minutes, but still, it takes time. So for Emax, the meaning time is 12 minutes. To crystallize in speed file is about 14 minutes, 55 seconds. For CS2 oven, Ivoclar CS oven is about 14 minutes, 30 seconds, I believe. So you're looking at 45 minutes to almost an hour versus the Amber Mill Direct, 17 minutes. And even though you want to do a stain and glaze versus 30 minutes for Amber Mill Direct. So it's 45 minutes to 1 hour versus 17 minutes. That's saving 30 minutes time of the processing time. And even though you put a stain and glaze on, it's still saving you 15 minutes, 20 minutes to 30 minutes. If you decide to do a stain and glaze on the Amber Mill Direct, that's a very significant amount of time that you have saved. So again, no firing required for Amber Mill Direct, and you save up to 40% time. So the workflow for Amber Mill Direct, you scan, you design, you mill, you polish, you cement. So now we talk about the true 1 hour workflow. So starting from you sit the patients, you numb the patient up, depending on which tooth that you're doing. The numbness you can start in about few minutes if it's an upper teeth, if it's anterior. If it's a lower molar, it takes about, I would say, maybe 10 minutes or even a little bit longer. So let's say that average is 8 minutes to do anesthetic. And then you prep. I would say maybe about 15 minutes prep. So 8 minutes plus 15 minutes, that's 23 minutes. And then you do scan and design. For me, scan take not even a minute. Design take a couple minutes. So that's say 5 minutes. So you are looking at 28 minutes, 25 to 28 minutes time from you see the patients. And then you mill the restorations. Sometimes the mill take only 10 minutes. Sometimes take 30 minutes. So that's say average 12 minutes. So you're looking at 40 minutes from you sit the patient down to here, 35 to 40 minutes. Then you take about 5 minutes to polish, to do silent, to do edge, to prepare for cementations. So we're looking at 45 minutes to 40 minutes. So you still have 15 minutes to 1 hour to do your cementation, to dismiss your patient, to take your post-op x-rays. That's enough time. So we are talking about the true 1 hour workflow, a true 1 hour workflow without needing the ovens, with a predictable result. You see is what you get. So what's the indication for the Amber Mill Direct? Because Amber Mill Direct is sister product of Amber Mill. So they are pretty much similar for indications. So of course, you can do an inlay. And sometimes I like to block out the undercut, make my prep more smooth. So sometimes I build it up. In this case, I use an EverX flow to build it up. And here is the Amber Mill Direct as an inlay. And as an onlay too, of course. So as you can see how smooth the margin was. A very, very smooth margin. And again, you don't need to go in through the oven. So you see is what you get. Another amber mill direct as only. So here's the pre-op. So IDS with OptiBond FL. Scan. Oh no, I do ever X flow to build it up to smooth the prep, smooth the flow, and you scan. That's a final, that's an X-ray. So why I use ever X flow as a build up? So for the composite, the most failure of the composite is the fracture. That's the number one reason for the fracture. And then will be secondary carries and then cause fractures. So that's why there is a material called rebound. I don't know if you heard about it. So rebound actually is a bondable reinforcement of the fiber to the composite. Another case that I did with amber mill direct is a crown, or you so-called a crown lay. So this is a short video showing you how I polish the amber mill direct. So that's a amber mill direct with a smooth margin. So we cut it off with a disc. Remove the sprue with a disc, with a heated stone. And then I enhance the anatomy with an inverted cone burr. We all know because the thickness of the Serra MCSL mini machine, so the anatomy, due to the thickness of the burr, so the anatomy is, you can't get all the detail. So you're gonna need to require to go in there if you wanna make it look better. And then you polish with a spiral wheel, the red medium spiral wheel with about 8,000 RPM to remove the burr mark. And I use a medium wheel to polish the smooth surface to make it more shinier. And then you use a spiral wheel for the yellow fine spiral wheel to polish into the crucial group, pit and fissure. As you can see, the amber mill direct has already been kind of shiny. And then again, use a wheel to polish the smooth area, the ridge, the marginal ridge, to make it like as a 3D effect. This is already, if you want, you can stop right here, but you can polish with a polishing paste also. So amber mill has come out with an amber glow as a polishing paste. That's good for polishing almost everything. You can polish for lithium disilicate, any ceramic, or a hybrid composite. So you use some firm pressure with 10,000 RPM. You actually work it in, you polish until it starts to shine. Very nice looking crown. All right, so step by step. So prep, and then sometimes I do IDS. So I use a G2 bond, GC2 bond to do IDS. And then you scan, you design, then you mill, you polish. And then this is a lithium disilicate. Amber mill, the red or amber mill, they are all lithium disilicate, just the same as the Emax. So you have to do the hydrofluoric acid to etch for 20 seconds. Then you rinse, you steam clean, you dry. Then you apply silane. I use G multi primers, or you can use the different silants, and then you deliver. So how strong is the bonding? So just give an example, the G2 bond that I use. So this is the strength for G2 bond to bond to the prep, to the tooth, to the enamel, and to the dentine. So they are all in about 40 megapascal range to the tooth, to the dentine, and to the enamel. And then how about the bonding, the strengths bond to the indirect material, like our topic, lithium disilicate right here. Actually, they are all pretty much the same, but for lithium disilicate, the G2 bond actually has about same thing, 40 to 50 megapascal to the indirect material. So how strong is our DEJ bonding? So based on the PubMed.gov, so the DEJ region, the shear bond strength, same thing. It's about 47 to 51 megapascal. The bonding procedure that we're doing, if you do it right, our bonding strength to the tooth, to the restoration, is similar to a DEJ. So how much we always talk about megapascal? We always want 1,000 megapascal. 100 megapascal is not enough. 200 is not enough. How strong is the material? So 50 megapascal, the bonding that we get from our bonding agent, if you convert to different language, which is 510 kilogram per square centimeter, or equal to 7,251 pounds per square inch. That is a lot. That is a lot, even at 50 megapascal. So what is the long term for the Amber Mill Direct? Like I say in the beginning, I've been using this material for 1.5 to 2 years. So this is one of the case that I did with Amber Mill Direct. So this was done 2021, last year in February. It's about 1.5 years ago, an inlay. This is when it's done, February 6, 2021. Patient come back for 1 year recall. Here's 1 year. And this is 1.5 years recall. The picture was taken just a couple weeks ago. And this is a case that I did recently, less than a month ago. So there's an existing bridge. I removed the bridge. There's a recurrent decay. The root canal was done. After caries removal, as you can see that there's not much of a tooth structure left. Very, very limited furrow effect, furrow left. So some of you may want to put a pulse in there, but I choose not to. So I did an IDS, I scan, and I do a crown. I did an Amber Mill Direct crown with an integrate post, and I submitted in. And this was because I only had A2, and the tooth patient's color, the teeth color was at A10. So I mean, I wish I had A10, but I have no options. I have no choice. So I had to do the fire process. So I did the GC Luster pass with a little bit stain of glaze on this one, but it just take me an additional 10, oven time is 10 minutes, and to apply on is about a couple minutes. So you may question, why not post, right? So this is a case that I did in 2017, which is 5 years ago. So this condition is even worse than one I just did recently. So this case was done 5 years ago with a Sarah Smart. And IDS, everything is the same. And this is the 5-year recall. The photo was taken 6 months, barely 6 months ago. So obviously, this Sarah Smart or this no post, no crown, still there with IDS. Why? This is a study from USC from Dr. Pascal Marnet from his book. He divided the tools into few different groups with furrow, no furrow with a post, no furrow, no post group. So this group was built up and crown, as most of the people will do. And this group has no build up and just a crown with an integrate post, if you want to call that. So of course, the failure rate, nothing beat furrow. Furrow has the best. And you may think that, okay, so I think if we put a pulse in there, it must be stronger, right? Which is not. So the failure rate actually is worse than the build up and crown, no pulse, and also the group that was the integrate pulse, one piece. Interesting, huh? And then when they fail, so the group with post, the one in the middle is called post. That one basically, when they fail, it fail catastrophic, no repairable. And the group that with no post has a better possible, it's more repairable, and you have better chance that you can repair, you can do it again. So this is how showing you how the fracture happened when the post and no post. The one on the left is no post. The one on the right has a post. So on the left is fail. And then on the right, as you can see, the fracture is happening right now. And it keep going on until it completely fracture. That's a non-repair catastrophic failure. If you need, after you mill it and polish, you can go in through the oven cycle to change the translucency, just like amber mill. And amber mill direct come with A1, A2, A3, A35, B1, B2, C2, D2, which is quite a lot of the option available. I'm going to finish today's webinar with the last couple of slides. Remember, we are doing biomimetic dentistry. We are trying to use the material that we have to restore the tooth to be similar to the dental trinity. We're going to use our bonded resin trinity to replace the dental trinity. This is a direct restoration versus indirect restorations. So when you do a direct restoration with composite only, the tools are a lot more flexible for onlay, for anterior tooth. But with the enamel outside or with something more stronger outside as a shell, you actually restoring the dental trinity again. So it's a lot more like our natural tooth. Remember this slide that we went through in the beginning. So Lithium disilicate, or amber mill direct or amber mill, has all the property similar to enamel. So this is one of the best material to restore enamel. So I hope after today's webinar, you can think more biomimetic. You can choose the material that is more similar to what we have as a natural tooth, instead of going for those high megapascal like 1,000, 600, 1,000. 1,000 sometimes is not enough, you need 2,000. So I hope you can think more biomimetic instead of, again, going for those megapascal like zirconia. I'm not saying you shouldn't use the zirconia, but I use zirconia too, but only for some certain cases. I have Spitfire oven in my bag also. I just don't use it often. So I hope you can think more biomimetic and use more material that is more biomimetic. So you can find me on Facebook. Easier, you go to the Bay Area CERA group or Taiwan CERA group. You can find me, you can email me, you can message me if you want to. And you have my personal email right here. Thank you very much.
Great. Now that we're here at the end of the presentation, I want to, just before we get into the Q&A, I want to thank you, Dr. Tang, for your presentation. It's an excellent presentation on the overall concept of using lithium disilicate, but more importantly, showcasing our newest product, the Amber Mill Direct, that is provided to the world as of today officially from Haas Bio. So what I wanted to help our audience, kind of understand based on what you mentioned today, Doc, is the benefit of using a pre-crystallized restoration like Amber Mill Direct, because as you indicated, the ability for chairside restorations to be done within 1 hour is truly possible now. And the indications for this particular product are, as you see listed here on the screen, for inlays, for onlays, for veneers, anterior crowns, and posterior crowns. And these are the available shades for the product. So to make it an attractive opportunity for those participants that are watching us today, we want you to visit tryambermill.com. Go to that website so that you can register your name and receive samples of our product so that you could try this with your own milling machine and get to see the quality of the product that you have in front of you. So with that, I'm going to get into the Q&A now. And Doc, we had a few questions for you. So let me get started here with one of the first questions that we have. We have, by the way, greetings from everyone from around the world, right? We have some doctors out there in Qatar, Zimbabwe, here in the US and Pennsylvania, some in Canada. But one of the questions is, do you need a special furnace for amber mill, or can you use the one for conventional lithium disilicates like Emax?
Hi, yes. So here's the answer for the oven for amber mill and amber mill direct. So the answer here for amber mill is there is two different type of oven cycle. First one is the traditional one that you don't require a special oven, so you don't need a two-stage oven cycle. So, but the oven time will take approximately about 30 minutes, depend on your translucency, LT, HT, MT, or MO. So you don't, for the traditional oven cycle, you do not need a special oven. But amber mill also has a fast rapid mode. It's pretty similar to the Emax, so that will require a vacuum with your vacuum pump with your oven, and that can cut down the oven cycle to 16 minutes. And for amber mill direct, you do not need the two-stage oven cycle. You do not need a vacuum pump in order to change the translucency from HT to LT. So just a regular, any conventional oven would do it. And the oven time is approximately about 20 minutes.
And Doc, another doctor is asking, what is your comment on using lithium disilicate restorations for bruxers?
This is a very good question, interesting question. So depend on, for the bruxer, for bruxisms, it depends on your antagonist. So as we mentioned that the amber mill direct is very, actually including the amber mill, they are very gentle to the antagonist. So if an antagonist is a natural dentition, I will not hesitate to using the amber mill or amber mill direct on the bruxisms. However, under the amber mill direct contraindications, actually bruxism is one of their contraindications for using the material. But again, if it's the antagonist is a natural dentition, I would not hesitate to use that.
Great. Another question here is, after applying the silane layer, what do you use to cement and fit? Is it case specific?
For me, I try to bond all my lithium disilicate or most of my CAD/CAM restorations. I try to bond them instead of just cementing them. So I will use resin cement, or sometimes I even using the warm composite to bond my CAD/CAM restoration in there.
Great. And maybe this is a similar question. What is your preferred cement, and are there any cements to avoid?
I generally I mean, there's many different cement available out there. I have been using ever since I started to do my CAD/CAM dentistry 17 years ago. I use in the Ibercra multi-link, which is very reliable, but it just like it's so hard to get rid of the excess cement, you know. And now recently I'm using the GC, the new cement called GCM1. That based on the paper that has a very strong bond, and of course I do etch and I use the AEP that you can get a very strong bonding too. And one of the major benefit is it is very easy to remove the excess cement.
Another question here is, can you reshare the ribbon's name and its use?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, the question is, can you reshare the ribbon's name and its use?
Oh, so for that the ribbon, actually I don't use that. It's I'm just trying to tell you the concept of the ribbon. You know, we use a fiber in dentistry, and the advantage of using fiber in dentistry is you get to stop the crack if the crack gonna happen, or you can redirect the crack not all the way down to the root. So that's a benefit of using ribbon. But again, nowadays we have a better material which called it's the from the GC also, it's EverX Flow. So the EverX Flow composite has a lot of mini fiber in there, and that mainly I'm using EverX Flow as my build-up material if I have to do a build-up, and that will get the same effect of stopping the crack or redirect the crack. So when to avoid the catastrophic failure.
Great. Question here is, what material do you choose in the CEREC software? Vita Trilux Fort, or Impress Multi?
So for Ember Mill and Ember Mill Direct, unfortunately, it's not in the library yet, not in the CEREC software library yet. So the dimension of the Ember Mill and Ember Mill Direct is identical to the Emacs, similar to an Emacs. So I will just choose on the software. I'm using the Ibercra Emacs, and you just need to insert the Ember Mill Direct block in there, and that will do it.
Great. Another question here is, are there any differences between in-lab, MCXL, and prime mill milling machine settings?
I personally don't have the prime mill, so I'm not quite sure about that. But basically, I'm using the Emacs meaning strategies. So basically, I do not change any of those. And for the Emacs, I actually bond the minimum thickness. I mean, the marginal thickness up a little bit because, again, the chipping margins. But for the Ember Mill Direct, I'll basically just don't change anything, though.
Great. And I believe that these were all of the questions. I'm just double checking here that we have at the moment. So for any of you that may have still some questions, or if you need the link sent back to you for tryambermill.com, please contact us at support@haasbioamerica.com. And Razvan, I don't know if I could share my screen so that I could show that link again, tryambermill.com. If you register there, we are also able to communicate with you and provide you with any follow-up or questions that you may have. And with that, Dr. Tang, once again, thank you for your time. And thank you to all the participants around the world for your time. We look forward to interacting with you and to answer any questions you may have. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.